5-minute call. Andrew Bailey.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I was going to talk about a number of things tonight, but I just thought I might respond to some of the speeches, and particularly the last two that we've had. And that followed an excellent speech by my colleague, Honourable Maggie Barry, talking about what we're doing in the area of conservation. And then I heard the two speakers talking about the lack of birds up in Northland. Well, Mr Speaker, I would just like to invite both those speakers to come and visit me in Hanua, because we have got a wonderful program around the Kokako and the Hanua that in 1974 there was only one breeding pair left in New Zealand. But thanks to the good efforts of the Auckland Council and also the Department of Conservation, we now have 66 breeding pair in the Hanuas. And sir, this is a wonderful achievement about bringing back a bird back from the brink of extinction into something that's viable. And what's more, Mr Speaker, I'm raising $10,000 to go towards that program, and I would like to challenge those two former speakers to put some money up and come and help our program and come and join and see how these birds live in our wonderful part of this country. Sir, Mr Speaker, I heard a couple of other things mentioned. I heard a little debate about superannuation. Sir, I just wish these speakers would actually spend 5 minutes looking at some facts and figures. I heard Mr Shearer saying our superannuation's dreadful, it's out of control. Well, actually the facts are, Mr Speaker, that currently we pay 5% towards of our total government spend on superannuation every year. When you compare that to most OECD countries, we are well below the average. Most are about 9 and up to about 15%. Even stretching it forward many, many years up to 2050, we will ultimately hit about 8% of total spend. Now, just to put that in context, Mr Speaker, over the last 8 years, through the good efforts of our Minister of Finance, we have reduced government spend by near on 4%. When you're spending nearly $70 billion a year, that works out to be roughly about $9–10 billion of savings a year. That alone is going to offset a lot of that increased cost. But what we are also doing is growing an economy and reducing debt. So even now, our debt is at 27% of GDP, which is will be half of Australia's by 2020. England and the EU will be 4 times ours. The US will be 5 times ours by 2020. We will have modest debt. And that's all about preparing ourselves so we can meet these future commitments. And finally, housing. I heard that magic word about housing. And again, I invite the members, come to Hanua, because 12,000 sections are going to come to market over the next 5 years. 12,000. And I heard someone saying we need 10,000. Come to my wonderful electorate and you will see it. The issue we've got, Mr Speaker, is we need to continue to invest in infrastructure, and that's what we're doing. $4.25 billion into roading into Auckland alone over the next 3 years, and all those other good things like schools that our new mayor will be able to come in and open over the next few years. I'm looking forward to doing it. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
I call Todd Barclay.